Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're doing a deep dive into Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. Our mission really is to pull out the key insights, maybe some surprising bits from this text. It offers a pretty stark look at influence, navigating social dynamics. And just to be clear, we're here to understand these concepts, see how they work, definitely not to endorse them.
Absolutely. What's fascinating, I think, is that these principles, yeah, they're controversial for sure, but they aren't really presented as moral guidelines. It's more like a cold observation of how power dynamics have, well, often operated throughout history. It's sort of a guide to watching human behavior when influence is the goal.
Right. So let's jump in maybe with a couple that seem almost contradictory. You've got never outshine the master, basically. Don't make your boss feel insecure. Let him look good. But then almost right next to it is court attention at all costs because being invisible is, well, irrelevant. So how can both be true? How does that work?
Well, if you look at the bigger picture, they're not really contradictions. They're more like two sides of the same strategic coin. One is about securing your position, carefully managing how those above you see you.
Okay.
The other is just about the basic need for presence. You have to be seen. So think of it like calibrating your visibility. You need to be noticed enough to matter, but not so bright you overshadow the person you need support from.
So subtle managing of how bright your light is, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe you subtly make your boss look good in a meeting, but you also make sure your key contributions are quietly noted by others there. It's a balance.
Okay. Here's where it gets really interesting for me. The whole idea around silence. The book hammers this home. Say less than necessary, because you might say something foolish, and also always say less to keep that mystery, that power. What's the power in just not talking?
Yeah, it highlights the strategic value of keeping things close to the vest. Control over information. By saying less, you kind of make others project onto you, fill in the blanks. They reveal their thoughts. Ah,
It
great.
creates this sense of mystery, makes your words carry more weight when you do speak. It's about, well, perceived power and just reducing your own vulnerabilities. You're not giving away your game.
Like projecting strength through restraint.
Precisely. Think about leaders who use silence very deliberately.
And then there's the reputation piece. Guard your reputation, because once it's damaged, it's incredibly hard to fix. Defend it early. Why is that so critical?
Reputation is, well, it's basically the currency of influence, isn't it?
Yeah.
It walks into the room before you do. It shapes how people see you, what chances you get. And it's fragile because, psychologically, once a negative idea takes hold, people look for things to confirm it. Confirmation bias is powerful.
Right. Hard to shake a bad first impression, scaled up.
Exactly. So the book stresses acting fast, decisively, if your reputation takes a hit. Waiting just lets the negative story solidify. Okay, so let's touch on some of the more strategic, maybe even harsher sounding laws. Things like make others do the work but take the credit, which, okay, sounds rough, but Greene says it happens everywhere. And also, learn to keep people dependent on you. The logic being, if they need you, they won't turn on you. These feel pretty cynical, don't they? What's the underlying point there?
Yeah, they do sound blunt. But again, Green presents these as pragmatic ways people manage resources and ensure loyalty in competitive situations. The idea isn't necessarily be ruthless, but rather understand how people historically consolidate power. It's about reducing risk, the risk of betrayal mainly.
So controlling resources or knowledge makes you indispensable.
Kind of. It's observing that pattern, how leveraging others' work or creating dependence has been a strategy to maintain advantage. Observation, not prescription.
Got it. Okay, finally, let's look at work on the hearts and minds of others. Because force creates resentment, but influence lasts. This feels like a different tone, maybe a more sustainable approach.
Yes, definitely. What's fascinating there is the long-term perspective. It's a direct contrast to just using brute force, which often backfires. It argues that genuine buy-in, getting people to want to follow or agree, that's much more durable than just making them comply. Persuasion over coercion for lasting power.
Makes sense.
And this connects to other strategies too, like even crush your enemy totally. That's about removing lingering resentment or future threats. Or use absence to increase respect, creating value through scarcity. They're all aiming in different ways for a stable position of influence.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening? This dive was really about understanding these dynamics of influence and power that Greene lays out, whether you like them or not.
Right. And these principles, whether you ever think about using them or just start noticing them more or maybe even want to push back against them when you see them, they offer a pretty powerful lens. A lens for looking at human ambition, how people interact, So maybe the question to ponder is, how do you see these laws playing out, perhaps in your own life or the world around you?